Rupa Goswami in the Nectar Devotion, when he discusses the different angas of bhakti, or the different types of bhakti, he comes to the process of Arcana, and then he gives a little definition there of Arcana, which is quite interesting. He defines Arcana as offering different items called upachars to the deity with mantra, after having performed preliminary activities such as nyasas. So we have to expand that definition a little to get the practical Arcana process. But that is the seed, that definition is the seed of our deity worship process. So we have two elements there. That is the preliminary activities, and then we have the actual offering of items or upachars with mantras. So these are the two basic divisions of the Arcana process. And of course, the Arcana means it is, these upachars means offerings to the Supreme Lord, the deity form. So, what are the preliminary activities? Hari Bhakti Vilas gives us a lot of complex things like the nyasas, which are mentioned in the definition, Bhuta Suddhi, etc. It'll probably be more practical for us to understand the function of these items. So the preliminary activities are there in order to prepare us for the worship. Just as in a sacrifice, we have the sacrifice itself is offering fire, homa, that is items like ghee and grains into the fire with mantra. But you don't just do that. Before the sacrifice, you have preliminary activities. You have some purification rites. You purify the ghee, you invoke the fire, you call the particular fire deity, you purify the fire itself, you purify the directions, you purify yourself. So the many preliminary activities that qualify you to do the worship of the fire by offering the items in the fire. So similar in deity worship, before we actually offer things to the Lord and touch the Lord, we have to be qualified. Now our basic qualification, of course, is that we're devotees, we accept the Lord, and then formally this is indicated when we take diksha. When we take diksha, then we get mantra, which is non-different from the Lord. And with that mantra, then we worship the Lord. So that's a very, very basic act. But every day, again, we have to go through certain preliminary procedures because we're not at the stage where spontaneously we connect with the Supreme Lord and have the proper qualification. So therefore, before the puja or the archana, we have some preliminary activities. So we can say they're basically purification and spiritualization, which there's two divisions. In other words, purity means we get rid of the bad elements, and then secondly, spiritualization means we stick in the devotion to Krishna. So purifying means simply getting rid of bad things, and the other is strengthening our bhakti, so to speak, and our understanding of Krishna, connection with Krishna. So some of the elements are there: purification of utensils, purification of body. We have to take a bath, we have to wear a clean cloth, put on our tilak, etc. So these are basic purification of body, etc. Purify the elements, purify the flowers, purify the whatever elements for using the ghee lamps, etc. And preliminary, these are purification things. Purify the mind. So technically in the, let's say the Archana that is done in Hari Bhakti Vilas, they do pranayama. This purifies the mind. Now generally in the Gaudiya Sampradaya we don't do that. We skip that and instead we go directly into the meditation on the Supreme Lord, which acts as a purification plus a spiritualization. So we have purification of physical elements, body, materials, and then mind, and then we got the spiritualization process. So we spiritualize the items because they're all material things. This is material, flowers are material. How you can worship the Lord with material things? We can purify them, certainly, but that doesn't make them spiritual. So then we have to spiritualize everything. How do we spiritualize a material flower? Mantra. Okay? So often you take water, energize it with mantra, and then you sprinkle the water on the flowers and the items. So that spiritualizes, puts us on a higher level. So the items around us we can spiritualize. We also have spiritualized our own body. Our body is material. It's made out of all these disgusting elements. So what do we do with it all? It's all material. How can we touch the Lord? Yeah, we can purify the body or the water, but it's still us material. How do we spiritualize it? Yeah? So the Bhuta Suddhi is a more subtle way, which means purification of elements. How to purify your elements, there's a complicated process of doing that in the Hari Bhakta Vilas. The simpler process for the devotee is simply say, I'm a servant of the Lord. I'm not a servant of Maya, I'm a servant of the Lord. This purifies our body. And then higher purification, or higher spiritualization, is the meditation on the Supreme Lord, form of the Lord. And then Manasa Puja, to actually visualize ourselves offering items to the Lord in our spiritual body. So that has an effect on our material body also, spiritualizes our material body. So this helps us get to a state of spiritualization of our body and our mind, etc., as well as the material objects that we're using for worship. So that's the Purvanga karma. Then we have the offering the upachars, or the items, with mantra. So we take those purified and spiritualized items using our purified and spiritualized body, and then we offer those items to the Lord. So there are particular items. There's a whole list of 16 upachars. There's like a minimum for temple worship, and you can go up to 64 items if you want to. Different items are there. Still, how to guarantee the connection with the Lord? So therefore, the mantra provides the means. So that is why it says you offer the upachars with mantra. What is the mantra? Not Hare Krishna mantra, that's Nama. That's simply the name. But the Diksha mantras. So we have a Diksha mantra which we can use to offer the items to Krishna. Krishna is our worshipable deity, therefore we have different mantras for Krishna and Gauranga, and for Guru. And we use those mantras as a medium of offering. Why mantra? Why not just silent? Because mantra is another form of the Lord in sound. And this will help us connect with the Supreme Lord when we're offering the item. So this is the Pancharatric procedure. You offer certain items which are listed in Pancharatra, and you offer using the mantra that you get at Diksha.